Hello everyone and welcome to the second day of the Armageddon Championship Series, coming to you from beautiful Berlin with its revolutionary format. My name is Gustafsson. I'm delighted to be joined yet again by international master Jovanka Houska. Jovanka, how are you today?
I'm fine. It's absolutely wonderful to be here in the studio in Berlin, commenting on this incredibly exciting tournament, because it is day 2, as you mentioned, and yesterday we saw the two youngsters, Nodirbek Abdusattorov and Gukesh, power past their rivals to get to the next stage in the champions bracket. And let's have a recap of what happened. The first day of the Asia and Oceania qualifier saw Indian number 2 Vidit take on 18-year-old superstar Nodirbek Abdusattorov. Vidit looked like he was putting Abdusattorov under some pressure, but with some excellent defensive moves, Abdusattorov turned the game around. In game 2, Vidit tried to break down Abdusattorov's defenses, but to no avail.
In the second match of the day, 16-year-old project Gukesh from India faced his experienced counterpart Yangyi, but Gukesh had the better end with some very accurate calculation. He managed to emerge with an extra might and win. In the second game, Gukesh played very pragmatically and was never in any trouble, and the match victory.
This is the Armageddon Championship Series. We just saw the highlights. This is the second of 4 qualifiers. The first one, the Americas, has already been played, and the second one is the one running now. Asia and Oceania, my favorite word. Europe and Africa are also coming up. Let's have a look at what else is in store. There's the Women's Week, appearing on your screen any moment. 8 players per event, 32 total. Couldn't be more excited.
Absolutely, because we have the finest minds in the game competing fiercely for the chance to enter the grand finale and win the Armageddon Championship title. All events are going to be broadcast here from the World Chess Club Berlin on Unter den Linden Straße.
That's what it's called. Let's meet our players in the Asia and Oceania qualifier. We've seen 4 of them in action today, yesterday and today as well. Jovanka, tell us all about the players.
Yeah, I mean, take a look at some of these names. We have Daniil Dubov, who will be playing today, 2802, and former world champion Vladimir Kramnik, as well as Karthikeyan Murali, who qualified online actually, as well as Parham Maghsoodloo. So such exciting players.
Yeah, the online qualifier, very strong player in his own right.
And we have to mention one of the partners, IT.com, the official partner. It's a domain registry like no other. It provides a platform for anyone to create innovative domains and effectively showcase their online presence. Don't miss this opportunity. Visit IT.com today and create your unique online image.
In case you've always wondered how this Armageddon Championship Series works, we have all the info for you. It's what they call a double elimination, which I always struggled with, but it's not that tough.
It's not that
complicated. You lose 2 matches, you're out. You don't lose 2 matches, you're not out.
Yes, that's exactly right. And now we can see there are some people in the lower brackets. Vidit, Gujrathi and Yangyi, they're both on their last remaining lives. And Nodirbek Abdusattorov and Gukesh made it through to the winner's bracket. Well, we'll find out today who gets knocked down and who continues forward. Because first up is Karthikeyan Murali against Parham Maghsoodloo.
Yeah, we're very close to the beginning of the action. There we see the 2 players already seated at the board. So let's learn a little more about this matchup.
Yeah, and there we have Karthikeyan against Parham Maghsoodloo from Iran. And taking a look at, let's have a look at Karthikeyan.
Parham still studying the knight there.
Just 24 years old, became a grandmaster at 16 years old, two-time national champion, and learns the piano and the flute.
Oof, that's amazing. Also the best puzzle solver in all of India, you told me.
That's right, and let's hear more from the man himself.
I'm Karthikeyan Murali, Grandmaster from India. I'm 23 years of age and I've been playing chess for the past 15 years. My father had a surgery when I was 6 years old, and we used to play chess, checkers, carom, all sorts of boards, and I got interested in chess and I continued professionally then. Okay, there was a moment where I met Anand in 2006. I was one of the participants where he gave the simul, and that inspired me to take chess as a profession. I would say I am an aggressive player, tactical. I would like to calculate well. To become a successful chess player, I practiced almost 12 hours a day, and I think that is my biggest strength, which is my hard work, my focus and my dedication. The best chess moments in my career is beating Maxim in Gibraltar 2019. It is so special because I came second in the prestigious tournament. So my wife gets angry at me whenever I see only chess. So it's not kind of easy, but I'm trying to manage it.
Let's get to meet his opponent, Parham Maghsoodloo, 22 years old from Iran. It feels like he's been around forever. Grandmaster at 16 years old, three-time Iranian champion, former world junior champion, played in the prestigious Tata Steel tournament this year with a very, very strong showing. This guy is about to break into the absolute top.
And let's hear from Parham Maghsoodloo.
I am Parham Maghsoodloo, #1 chess player of Iran. I started chess when I was about 10. I am playing for 13 years, and firstly I learned chess from my father. My style is just playing very sharp, very aggressive. I want to win or lose, it doesn't matter for me. I just want to play fighting chess, which chess fans love it. I'm just super confident all the time, and whenever I get bad position over the board, I don't think in a negative way. I just think that it's good position, it's fighting position, and I can play very good and win the games. I think anyone who wins tournament, which is 11 rounds, and you win in 10 rounds, it's just very special. I think for anyone it's like this, because it shows that you could like handicap one game to the tournament and still win the tournament. I just make balance between my friends, my family, the time to spare with them, and also with chess and all things with chess. I think I can balance all this, so that's why I'm improving in my life.
Parham and I have so much in common. We're about to start the very first match, but before that, let's have a look at the format. 2 blitz games, 3 minutes plus 2 seconds. If it's tied 1-1, it's Armageddon, 5 versus 4.
Definitely. The prize fund of 50,000 euros, and first prize 18,000 euros. And if it gets to Armageddon, this is our favorite, as Jan mentioned. White gets 5 minutes on the clock, but is in a must-win situation. Black gets 4 minutes and gets draw odds. And I can see the clock ticking down, and there we see a very important person in the room, Tanya Karoli. She's an international arbiter since 2016, and she will be monitoring the play very, very closely. 8 seconds. The players are getting ready. They are focused. Karthikeyan with the white pieces. Both players self-proclaimed aggressive.
Let's go. Handshake, pawn to e4, and that's a very rare move from Parham. Knight to f6, the Alekhine defense, attacking the pawn, provoking it to move forward. Very rare at this level.
And there we see Parham take a short pause as he decides how he's going to react. And they're very confident play. The bishop comes out to g4.
Choosing a sideline here, trying to put max pressure on his opponent early on. I don't think Karthikeyan prepared for this, but it is supposed to be a little dodgy. Taking some chances here, Parham, who loves fighting chess.
Yeah, he said that, you know, he's so confident that even when he has a bad position, he's like, oh, that's all right, I can blag my way through that. And there we can see the heart rates of the players. Karthikeyan around about 110, whereas Parham has
up there.
Rate 130. And just to give you some context, anything over 100 means the player is under some stress. And if you see it reaching 130, you should be worried. And Parham playing in a very provocative way.
I should really go see a doctor with his new heart rate information, but Karthikeyan not being baited into action here, just goes for bishop out and then brings his king into safety, as we learn in chess school. There you can see the engine bar. The more white you see to the left of the board, the better white's position is. The more black you see, the better black's position is. So it gives white a small advantage here. This line is not supposed to equalize. But Parham gained almost a minute on the clock with this choice.
And that is a good strategy, because you have to remember the players are playing at an exceedingly fast time control. It's just 3 minutes plus 2-second increment per move. And there we see Parham developing the dark square bishop. So far, so good. And here comes the pushback. That knight is getting kicked all the way back to b6.
Yeah, this is all still theory. White now usually exchanges the pawn or brings the knight out. Black will bring his king to safety, then the pawns will get exchanged in the middle. White is supposed to be a little better because he has more space. You can see his pawns are on his 4th rank and the enemy pawns are only on the 6th rank. So, slight advantage, but it does not look like Karthikeyan is all that familiar or confident about his position. Bishop e3, slightly rare move here. Parham has a choice now if he wants to bring the knight out or if he wants to capture the white knight. Let's see what he does.
Definitely. I find this kind of opening with the black pieces to be very provocative and very wriggly, because it looks like white has an amazing position. After all, you know, you've got control of the center. Look at that space. But black is down but not out, and they is able just to chip away at white's advantage. And I find that this type of position is the kind that Parham excels at.
Parham is chipping away at his own clock advantage by thinking forever here, though. Bishop e3 maybe came as a surprise, and he goes knight to d7. That's another very, well, let's call it provocative choice. He's not fighting for the center, but really trying to keep his pieces and close to his king.
And
white takes.
There we see a trade of pawns, and this is good strategy from Karthikeyan, simply reinforcing the c4 pawn and saying to black, what are you gonna do next?
I'm also curious. I don't really see a constructive plan with this knight. Passive, there's a saying, one knight is on the b6 square, that's the dark square there, that a knight on b6 is always misplaced, and this does not look like an exception.
Yeah, I agree with you completely. Knight moving to the f6 square, making way for the other knight to go back to the d7 square. And I love the way Karthikeyan's playing it, just very natural, putting his rooks on good squares. The queen is probably going to lift up to the d2 square, and again, asking black the question, what are you going to do next?
All these years of playing the piano have really taught Karthikeyan patience. He's not rushing into action at all. Now he's going to move his queen one step forward, then put the rook in the middle and tell Parham, you know what, you do your thing, I do mine.
So calm, Jan. And well, take a look at who is not calm. Parham Maghsoodloo with just over a minute on the clock and a heart rate of 127.
It's dropping though, it's dropping though. He's coming down.
Yeah, maybe he's going to be in his element. We'll find out. The rook comes to
It's
e1.
going to be at 80 at the end of the game.
Yeah, maybe.
Oh, we have action.
We do.
Karthikeyan finally crosses
And
the
this,
demarcation line.
and this must be good news for Parham, because at least now he has a plan. Can he push forward with a pawn, or is he going to capture? He's reaching for that pawn. Wow.
I'm not sure I like that push, because now the black piece at least have a target. This rook is doing something on the open file. The other rook can come. It does look like Parham is still very much in the game. I guess you still take white because of the space advantage, but I liked his non-committal strategy better.
Yeah, I have to agree with you completely. And now both players under the minute. Just remember, they only get a 2-second increment per move. And queen step forward to d4, attacking the knight. Knight's going to move back to d7. I would move that knight with pleasure. Oh, but that was not the knight that I expected
Parham
to
loves
go to
that
d7.
knight over there. He's not moving it, he's defending it. He's moving some piece away from the king. Poor king.
Oh, you've got to be vigilant when it comes to the king. Don't leave it on its own. And now the critical moment, because under 30 seconds. This is the time where I begin
Time to wake up, Parham.
Panic. Rook takes rook. Bishop retreats down to g6.
It's a skill though. These guys are usually so good at just playing, even with the 2-3 seconds per move went down on time. They really learned not to panic with the clock ticking down and to live on these 2 extra seconds you get for every move.
Well, Parham is actually living around the 130 mark, but we can see for Karthikeyan, his heart rate is steadily increasing.
Yeah.
I do.
Seems like there's a negative correlation between clock time and heart rate.
Yeah, and now we actually see Karthikeyan is now up to 130 and the clock ticking down. 20 seconds. Queen is going to move back to d2. It's crunch time here. Both players need to start improving their pieces and making sure they can withstand the tension.
They're both shuffling around. It does look like Karthikeyan is starting to give some squares. He's trying to push the knight back. The knight will go to the rim, but that's not a bad square. It's a nice little outpost, can be stabilized by the pawn. There are some holes in White's camp now. I have a feeling Parham has made progress here over the last couple.
I agree, and he also seems to be moving incredibly
back to square one.
calmly as well. Okay, and then the knight goes back to the f6. I mean, it's been here before.
I lost count how often these knights have been on these squares, like it must be.
And now 4 seconds, calmly shuffling the pieces.
Oh,
we have some action, offering a trade. The queens are coming off the board.
The rook
now
enters.
the rook is coming to c7. Oh,
this is trouble. This is trouble for Parham. Now the bishop can come and chase the rook away from defending that pawn over there. The bishop goes to a7. This pawn in the middle could also be pushed.
Oh, look at that bishop clamping down the queen side. I don't know, it just looks good. Ooh,
looks nice, but he could have moved 1 square further, hit that rook. He's doing it now. 1 move earlier, keep your pawns. That was mistimed.
And
now Parham is all right. He will emerge a pawn up, and it will be Karthikeyan who has to try to secure a draw here in the famous 4 versus 3 pawn situation. Not gonna be fun.
No, it's not going to be fun, and it's definitely not going to be easy for either side when they're playing with seconds left on the clock. And Karthikeyan just maneuvering his pieces to protect everything. And now
he's going to lose. He always loses these things. In practice, the
another pawn falls off.
Big advantage. There goes another pawn. Yeah, he's completely lost the threat.
I agree.
Shaking his head there.
Oh no, the position is falling apart.
Heart rate at 150 for both.
Adrenaline is just pumping through and it's centralizing itself. I mean, Karthikeyan's trying.
Oh, knight fork. He was offering the pawn, but then the knight would have forked. The rook and the king. Karthikeyan's trying his best to activate his pieces, but the 2 missing pawns will be his downfall.
And the rook is kicked away. 3 players playing so quickly, and it's just a question who can handle their nerves. I love the way that Maghsoodloo is handling this position. It's making it look so easy with just seconds on the clock.
And he's going to pick up a 3rd pawn. This will be the end. You don't resign here because of the limited time. But actually does resign. 3 pawns down. And Maghsoodloo wins the first game with black. 3 matches we've seen so far. Every time black wins the first game.
I know, and this places Karthikeyan in a very difficult situation. He needs to win with the black pieces. Not easy at all. And Maghsoodloo just confusing us all with his crafty strategy. And they're the players setting everything up. Wow.
That was a somewhat strange game because it really looked like Karthikeyan had good position, but then completely lost the threat within a couple of moves, gave up his queenside pawns, and Parham never looked back. Let's have a look at some of the highlights. Here we see the opening, the queen hitting the knight.
He's in full control. I mean, look at his position. It looks absolutely dominant. And Parham is just struggling for a plan. He's just shuffling the knights backwards and forwards. And there we see some nice knight maneuvers. And it looked great for Karthikeyan here.
Yeah, but he didn't find a way to break the black defenses early on. And he also burned a lot of time. And then later, when concrete calculation was needed after he invaded there with his queen, exchanged the queens and now moved the rook forward here on the next move. I'm not sure if we're going to see it. Here he could have taken and then moved his bishop to the a7 square, one square further, attacking the rook on b8. And if that rook moves, he could have taken the pawn. So he loses a crucial tempo with this bishop move.
Yeah.
And now his pawn started falling and he went on to lose the game.
Yeah, this is the turning point. And there you see the initiative shifts over to black. Woo.
So Parham Maghsoodloo, the favorite in this matchup. Here we can see him converting the final moment.
Yeah, there we see it, and how effortlessly he makes it look. And the handshake. And Parham Maghsoodloo wins with the black pieces. What a fight, I have to say. It was very unexpected. And seconds now ticking down. Karthikeyan really needs to shake off that disappointment that he will be feeling, because he knew that he had a chance to perhaps win this game and he messed it up. And now Parham with the white pieces just has to hold the fort. And we know Parham, he's an exceptionally strong player. It will be very easy for him, I think.
Yeah, the one drawback he could have is his fighting style. I don't think he's used to drying the game out like we've seen Gukesh do yesterday. He always wants excitement, he said in his video. Win or lose, doesn't matter as long as it's fighting. But of course, he is the favorite in this matchup. Karthikeyan will be a bit in his head because of the mistakes in the last game. To recover so quickly now, literally 1 minute to regain his composure here. I don't like his chances. Let's see.
And the lights start flashing, the handshake, and there we see it. Parham opens with the c-pawn. It is now the English, and Parham playing very solidly. Karthikeyan is an aggressive player, and now white pushes the e-pawn one square forward, wants to mark a claim in the center.
Yeah, this is all still very standard. Bishop out is the main move here. The queen comes to defend it, the knight takes. The bishop takes the knight, and now white faces a choice. You take with the queen, or more ambitiously, as Parham can't help himself. Capture with a pawn, double your pawns, and now try to occupy the center with your e-pawn and your d-pawn. Often they push the e-pawn one square forward here, then to be followed by the d-pawn. Parham taking his time, but he's played this before, so he should know what he's doing.
He absolutely has, and taking a look at the heart rate, we can see Parham has managed to get his down. 229 has now jumped up a little bit to 132, whereas Karthikeyan has 109, which means that both players are not entirely calm. And as you predicted, Jan, the e-pawn steps forward, marking the center.
I'm a keen student of Parham Maghsoodloo. Openings he's taking. A moment now bringing the bishop out, prepares short castles, and then white faces a decision if he wants to push his d-pawn 1 or 2 squares forward. Sometimes he even tries to push the f-pawn, but there comes Parham, not hesitating.
I don't know, what do you think about this? I mean, it's quite committal, and
I'm
bearing in
never
mind...
sure, because these double pawns, they can also be weak, so white, yeah, needing a draw, I would have chosen a different approach, but that's how he plays. He wants excitement, not solidity.
And of course they say when you are in a situation where you need to draw, you should stick to your personality, you should stick to your opener repertoire and play what you know best.
They say that, unless you lose, then they say you should have played solidly.
That is very true. The beauty of hindsight. And there we see Parham actually calming down to 122.
This is the lowest he's been all day.
I know. And Karthikeyan now under 2 minutes on the clock. And stepping forward with the queen. This is good strategy. All that's needed for Karthikeyan is to develop and find a good role for the light square bishop and connect the rooks. Connecting the rooks is a beautiful thing in life.
I know. Rooks need to talk. The bishop should go to this square on the edge of the board to attack the pawn on c4. Maybe can team up with the knight, bishop to a6, knight to a5, hitting that pawn, and it's a bit unclear where white wants to develop his play. He doesn't want to get stuck defending that pawn. Both players are a bit slow for my taste. This position, and he goes back with the knight. You just move it there. They both also really like to shuffle their knights back and forth. I don't like that move one bit. We'll get pinned by the bishop. It won't. I don't understand these players.
I don't understand it either, I have to say. But I mean, this seems to be their strategy. Just kind of confuse the opponent, make some bizarre moves, and get them to burn some time on the clock. And there's no threat with that bishop on a3. I mean, after all, white is not threatening to go pawn takes pawn.
Wants to rid himself of that weakness. But now after pawn takes pawn, is also a bit unclear if the pawn in the center is defended. From Parham's reaction, it looks like he wasn't so happy to see that, because if he recaptures with the pawn, which looks normal, black could grab the pawn in the middle, which is attacked by the queen and the knight, and only covered by the queen. Instead, he lunges forward into the unknown. Very, very complicated. The pawn cannot capture because the bishop is lurking there, ready to take the queen, so the knight has to take. Now he will take on d4 with the pawn, or he will exchange knights.
No, don't exchange knights.
He's trying to win the rook. Bishop to f3, hitting the rook. That's only the beginning. The black queen can hit the bishop, or he can move the bishop out like this. Parham going for a complete mess here.
Good strategy?
I don't know. If he wins, it's good strategy, but he's giving so many chances. We can see the computer evaluates his position as equal, but it does not feel equal. It feels like chaos.
Absolutely. I mean, black has
both queens under attack.
Beautiful pawn structure, but that's probably an irrelevance at the time being, because, as you mentioned, there's some immediate threats on the board. Black queen has to move. I would, if I were black, I would play the queen one step forward to f4, and there it goes. Oh no,
not what Karthikeyan does. He's trying to block both the attack on his queen and on the rook by putting his bishop in the way. But this bishop could also be taken, be replaced by the knight, and then that knight can get pinned. It's also complicated, but it looks like black has calculated well here. White takes, black takes. If the knight gets attacked, the queen steps out of the way to the side, hits the bishop, and the mess continues.
Well, it's if this works, it looks like we could be into our first Armageddon, and Parham under 40 seconds on the clock, and the position is fast getting critical.
Yeah, this is just about calculation. It's so hard to explain, but he can now he can attack the knight, for example, by moving his pawn one square forward.
But can you actually take the pawn? And I was thinking, if you do step forward with a pawn and attack the knight, maybe there's even knight takes pawn in the air.
Yeah.
And
that's why he moves the queen out of the way, so that the queen can't get attacked. He's trying to win that knight.
Yeah.
And will he manage? Now black, as far as I can see, it's a little trick. Advance that pawn one square. The queen takes it, and then the queen takes the pawn on c3, hitting the bishop as well. But they never do what I want them to do.
No. But that was a good suggestion from you, Jan. I liked it.
And
now 10 seconds for Parham, and there we see pawn takes pawn on the board.
Now black is in some trouble again. If he recaptures, the bishop goes back, and he can't really keep the knight covered. So I think he might have made a mistake.
No, but
question mark? He has this resource. Beautiful. I missed that move. You cannot capture the knight because the queen is under attack, and black is better.
And 3 seconds for Parham. Now 5 seconds, and he is simply a pawn down, and Karthikeyan matching Parham blow for blow. What is two pawns?
2 pawns missing.
Oh, my apologies.
That's too many pawns, Karthikeyan. Big favorite to even the match here and reach the Armageddon.
Yeah, and Parham, all he can do is just launch some pawns forward and hope for the best. And 27 seconds for Karthikeyan. His heart rate is up to 135. It's just about withstanding the nerves. King comes to f7. Great stuff. Don't put your king in any square where it could be checked.
Yeah, this should be easy now. The knight will get activated. The rook can enter slowly but surely. Black can use his 4-pawn versus 2-pawn majority on the other side of the board.
Definitely.
Bring the king.
But never underestimate the power of someone's panic.
I don't know. I never underestimate the power of 3 extra pawns.
That's true. And as you mentioned, another pawn has stepped off. Okay, now the rooks are off. There's absolutely no way that Black is not going to be winning this. Pawns are just going to come forward. Nothing to be done. This game is going to be lost for White, and we are going to see the tournament's very first Armageddon.
Parham can't quite say goodbye to the game yet, but these 4 pawns advancing there in battle formation will be very hard to deal with.
I mean, that is a thing of beauty. And here comes 1 pawn, give a check. Parham, step back with the king. But one thing about Parham, which will save him a lot of points, is that he keeps on fighting regardless of how bad the position is.
How many points do you think is going to save him here, that he keeps on fighting?
Well, I think once that pawn reaches b2, it's going to be game over. And there we see the handshake. Karthikeyan has won. He has gotten that necessary comeback, and this match is going to Armageddon.
Finally, our first Armageddon.
And
Thought they had to rename the series, but Karthikeyan does even the score.
And beautiful effort from Karthikeyan. Just when it looked like it might be over for him, nope, he manages that wonderful comeback. And there we see
That game was so complicated.
It's just showing some excellent calculation, blow for blow. Queen takes pawn.
I think bishop b2
Big mistake.
might not have been the way. I'm not sure what was happening, but this queen d2 move was missed by Parham, and now he just had to go for this hopeless endgame, which Karthikeyan converted very smoothly.
Definitely. And whoa, now we're going to go into Armageddon.
Do they even get a breather? When does it start? Here we see the final stages of the last game,
Yeah.
where Karthikeyan just pushed all his pawns forward. Parham looks annoyed. I thought he said win or lose doesn't matter as long as it's fighting games. That was a fighting game. Parham, did you lie to us?
Well, that position was like a playground for Karthikeyan, just pure enjoyment. And talking about pure enjoyment, that is what is in store for us, because we're going to go and see Armageddon coming up shortly. And here we are seeing Karthikeyan in the final moments. I mean, just take a look at that. The B pawn, completely unstoppable, and Parham had enough and shakes hands.
So Armageddon, White gets 5 minutes, Black gets 4 minutes. No extra time in these blitz games. There were 2 extra seconds. Now there's no extra time. You're a veteran of the Armageddon Championship Series. Can the pieces start flying?
They can.
Will we see fair play? Will we see arguments? What's going to happen?
Well, if we see arguments, this is why we have international arbiter Tanya currently on site. She will be reviewing all the footage and making sure no illegal moves will be played. 27 seconds. The players are in darkness. Soon as the clock starts ticking, the stage will light up. And there we can see who has the white pieces. Karthikeyan, I think it starts off with the white pieces. So
how is that determined? Is there a drawing of lots? Is it just assigned? Karthikeyan with white has to win the game. Maghsoodloo with the black pieces needs to draw, but he has 1 minute less. And here we go. Another Alekhine. Typical must-draw weapon. Sharp, messy opening. Parham.
He's
Can't help himself.
He's a man of principle, you know, he plays in what he believes in, and the players are repeating exactly the same opening as we saw in game 1.
He's also thinking at the exact same moment as we saw in game 1.
No, he cannot afford to think, because he does have less time on the clock. And remember, the players are not getting any increment whatsoever.
Same position as in game 1. Here comes the deviation. The A pawn is moved forward to chase that knight on b6.
And he's going for the same strategy. The knight is relocating to f6, making way for the other knight to go to d7.
Move the horses around and then hope for the best. And once again, Karthikeyan will need a strategy to break down this passive but solid black structure. Last time he tried pushing the pawn in the middle, I was against it, and now he's taking more slowly. I'm glad he's listening.
Yeah, that's a good idea because he does start with an extra minute on the clock. And taking a look at the clock times, Parham has 3 minutes and 18 seconds. Karthikeyan just under 4.5 minutes. He doesn't need to take radical action. He can just use this extra time to draw out the position until wait until it gets critical. There you see the queen moving to a2. Looks good to me.
Yeah, the pawn structure changed. Parham made this push in the middle, trying to change the nature of the position, activating his knight. But white also gained some space and a nice outpost for the knight.
It's true, it's getting wild. And if I were Parham, you know, bearing in mind the clock situation and the whole match situation, I think I would kind of forget about being solid and be tempted to actually push some pawns forward on the king side. And there we see a trade of bishops. Parham trying to simplify the position so that he can just hold on. Because remember, a draw is sufficient to take him through to the next stage of the winner's bracket.
His structure is not great though. There comes the knight trying to stabilize. But I still believe that he's under quite some pressure here objectively, because white has more space, all these squares. But now with the knight sitting there, blocking any breakthroughs, that was a very nice maneuver by Parham. I like his chances a little more.
I like his chances a lot, and he's also managed to eat away at Karthikeyan's clock advantage. Now it's just 30 seconds in it.
Karthikeyan moving his kingside pawns there. Normally you're not advised to do. Don't touch them. Stay solid there. But I'm sure he had a good reason.
Yeah, and look at those heart rates. Parham all up to 146. Oof. That is pressure. And now the knight coming to b4, good mover.
Yeah, white has to make up his mind where he wants to break through. He's not going to manage on the queen side, so maybe he has to try to mount an attack on the other side of the board. But unclear how. Maybe step the king one square forward, then push the h-pawn. Yeah, there comes the h-pawn. Try to generate something there. But Parham is not the type to chill. He's trying to change the nature of the position all the time here with the break.
Yes, I think it's a good idea to do that. And of course, ooh, what is that?
He's offering the exchange of bishops, stabilizing his advanced pawn. I like the move. I think he's still in decent shape. What's the clock like?
Still, of course, Karthikeyan has an advantage, but this last move came as a surprise to Parham. He burnt some time on the clock. And we see a trade of pawns, knight goes back. Parham trying to be as solid as possible. I must admit, I do fancy Maghsoodloo's position. I like it.
I'm still torn, but it's hard for white to mobilize his queen side. He potentially has a very nice square for the knight. If the bishop gets exchanged, then the knight could sit pretty there in the black camp. But I agree, black is very solid, and Karthikeyan doesn't seem to have the keys into black's camp.
And there we see him advancing the h-pawn, trying to use it as a battering ram to open up some lines, and Parham says nope, not having any of that. But you know, there are some pieces moving to the king side. This is getting shaky for Maghsoodloo. Perhaps the g-pawn will also march forward. Maybe the king will step forward and some rooks will appear there. And this is why we see a trade. I'm not afraid. Actually, I'm not a fan of this move. I thought that the bishop
can recapture. This is a very, very far advanced pawn. I'm also not sure he should have done that. He's trying to clarify the situation. He just needs action all of the time. He's trying to exchange that knight. The knight doesn't have to trade itself for the black knight. It could also move forward, sit on that c7 square.
And that is a beautiful square, but I'm guessing that Maghsoodloo will say, there's a pawn on d6 that I'm going to attack.
Yeah, he has to calculate. That's what he's doing.
And he has just under 1 minute and 50 seconds to navigate the complications. Do you know what I would do? I would probably just forget that pawn on d6 and go for broke on the king side. I'm very ambitious.
Sounds like. White doesn't have a choice. He has to win the game. He can't simplify.
And
draw.
Suddenly, take a look at the clock times. Karthikeyan has less time on the clock than Parham.
That's what thinking for a minute does to you in this situation, and he's still thinking.
You can see he's indecisive. He doesn't know what to do.
There
What's he
comes
going to
the
do?
knight.
He
Sacrifices the knight, that was his point. Now after recapture, he has rook to e7. Beautiful combination from Karthikeyan. So those were 2.5 minutes well invested. Because now, if the knight gets captured, the rook enters and the queen can't move because of checkmate. Queen d6, queen f7, followed by queen g7. So very nice little trick there.
Oh.
And Parham missed it.
Parham totally missed it, and now what a change in body language. And Parham now is struggling. He is just 1 minute and 11 seconds.
Watching the heart rate.
The heart rate is skyrocketing.
He's fine,
too.
stable. We don't need a doctor.
No, we don't. Not.
Oh,
yeah,
there we are, 151.
Maybe, and there's nothing to do with it, but he has to bring his knight into the game. No, he moves his rook.
Yeah, there was a knight fork threatened, knight e7 check, so the rook gets out of the way. But white won a crucial pawn, has a big edge now.
And both players under the minute mark, and now
Nice
it's just a
sequence
question
there.
of speed. Beautiful play from Karthikeyan.
But can he finish the game? Queen to d4, queen to e3, hitting that rook should clinch it because if the rook gets out of the way, the knight is attacked, and if the other rook tries to defend it, then the d-pawn does the job. So Parham with the last trick, rook c7, if that gets captured, he will take the white rook, but he should still lose the game if events go normally.
And Parham just can't make up his mind. Queen moved any square, and both players, well, they
Queen
are
b6.
39 seconds, 32 seconds. This is not that much time. Just stating the obvious, but don't think. You have to just make moves now.
Yeah, they don't understand there's no increment. You have to mate. You can't think for 15 seconds in this position.
Offering a trade of queens.
Just not used to the Armageddon. That wasn't very practical.
And now Karthikeyan, 19 seconds. He just
Keeps thinking. Move.
Don't. Move the knight back to G. Okay.
Wow. That was fancy, but it's still too slow.
Parham
Pieces start
speeding up.
flying.
You have to put your pieces on the correct squares. And 22 seconds for Karthikeyan.
Flagrantly hates everything about this. Just make moves. You lose if you run out of time.
Okay, 6 seconds. Oh,
Both so slow.
well,
They weren't told this is the Armageddon series. But there comes Parham. Now he's launching his queen for an attack.
he just has 3 seconds. It's game over. There's just no way that he can win this in 2 seconds. That's it.
And
He's lost on time.
Karthikeyan
Parham
flex.
wins. Ooh, and a big grin for Parham as he survives the Armageddon by a whisker. Wow.
That was dramatic. White had a completely winning position, really played a nice game, but took too heavy a toll on the clock, and then was not quite in time to convert it. Also lost his cool, you could see. The pieces started flying a bit there. He could no longer find good moves.
Yeah.
There's a lot of tension this Armageddon.
Yeah, it is. And you always have to remember there's no increment. That is the name of the game. But there we see some key moments. Karthikeyan in full control. But take a look at his clock time. 1 minute and 12 seconds. And he plays this beautiful tactic.
That was very nice. Parham
this is
couldn't
it.
capture it, and he realizes it now. Karthikeyan was still very much in business there, not only with a good position, but also the clock times were about even after Parham's long thing. But then later, he just slowed down way too much. Let's have a look.
Yeah.
There, with 5 seconds against 11.
That
That's
is
just not enough.
mission impossible. There is no way he can move
Even
quickly.
though Parham moved in slow motion there, it was still enough. No, I think this is actually slow motion.
There we see the players desperately trying to make a move, doesn't matter what. But the clock, it always decides who is victorious.
You gotta mate before you run out of time. That's the rules of Armageddon, not
That
life.
is the rules. And And wow, that was exciting. I love Armageddon. I feel like it's taking chess back to the streets. And there you see Parham is the winner and Karthikeyan is knocked down to the lower bracket. And in terms of heart rate, well, Parham had, well, quite a very high heart rate of 176.
Oof, it's a new record.
Look at that, 56 calories. Although I'm sure that is not really representative. The players will be feeling very shaky. And Karthikeyan, well, his highest heart rate was 157.
Let's switch to the interview with Karthikeyan. If he's ready already, he should have a moment to calm down. So we'll give him a little bit of a breather to recover from all of this excitement.
Yeah.
And here we are with Fiona and Karthikeyan.
Karthik, what a tough loss. It was such a crazy match going all the way to the wire, to the Armageddon. Your feelings after this match?
Yeah, it was pretty, I think, even fight, and basically it came down to the nerves of the player. So I felt like I played well, but somehow in the Armageddon he defended well. So I just couldn't find the finishing blow, and when I just got panicked, and I think that's the turning point. Yeah.
The time pressure, I mean, the time was ticking down. What were your emotions in that moment during the Armageddon?
I was just looking for tricks, and especially when I played Knight C7, I had this only trick where he played Rook of D8. I thought if he had played Rook C8, it was just equal. And then I was basically looking for the tricks here. You know, in Armageddon, like you can't play for the best, but you can at least put some pressure and go for tricks. And it worked out well, but at the end he defended very well. Especially when he played Rook C7, I got panicked there. Yeah.
Okay, well, Karthik, thank you so much, and commiseration, best of luck for the next one. For now, back to the studio with Jovanka and Jan.
Thank you, Fiona, and it is my greatest pleasure to have here in the studio Parham Maghsoodloo. Wow, that was a gripping match.
Yes. It was a very tough match, and I was very nervous for today because, okay, somehow Murali is lowest rated in this tournament, but normally these players have a lot of motivation because they want to show they're very strong, and I knew that he played very well. I was very nervous. I think I just played so bad. Okay, yesterday I wanted to play some training games to just warm up for the tournament, and I was playing with my friend, and I knew that he's d4 player, so I pre-moved knight f6. Okay, he played e4. So I played Armageddon, and okay, I didn't have any choice because I was pre-moving this, and I won the game. So I thought such a good opening to play, but it was such a bad idea to play this in blitz. I think I had no move in all positions, and it was just.
You even repeated it in the Armageddon. There you could have figured out e4 was coming.
But I just prepared this, and I didn't have any other choice. When you prepare something, you have to play it.
Ah, okay. You did have the better end for you. How was it when the pieces started flying? Do you think, come on, put the pieces on the right squares? Do you try to move them cleanly, or how do you find the balance between moving so quickly?
I think I didn't make any mistake. I didn't drop any pieces, and okay, I knew that if he does it, it's not on purpose, of course. He's also nervous, and I saw that I'm up on the clock, so I'm somehow confident with my time control in few seconds, so I was sure that I can flag him.
You managed. Congratulations. Thank you so much, Parham. We'll get to the next match.
Yeah, it's very bad that I couldn't manage to make at least draw in second game, because I think at the moment that he blundered e5, it's completely winning for me. Because I think after bishop f5, I can just play queen c1, just protecting everything and not letting him to play bishop e4 or knight e4, because if he plays, I take and play f3. And I'm just completely winning, and I played some very bad moves and got this winning position.
Thank you very much.
Get some rest. We gotta move to Mr. Dubov and Kramnik. Parham Maghsoodloo, thank you so much.
See you later.
See you.
Bye-bye.
And it's time to mention one of our partners, the FIDE Online Arena, which hosts rated tournaments and games 24 hours per day. Join the arena and you'll get a FIDE ID, profile on FIDE.com, access to pro chess community, official online ratings and titles recognized by International Chess Federation, prize money tournaments, much more. Play official games at chessarena.com.
And we're back with the action here in the Asia-Oceania qualifier, where we have maybe the most anticipated match of this first round between Daniil Dubov and Vladimir Kramnik.
And there we can see some impressive stats from Daniil. Became a grandmaster at 15 years old, has a blitz rating of 28.02, number 7 in the world, and also was World Rapid Chess Champion in 2018. Has a reputation as the most creative chess player.
How do you
around.
measure that? Like most pawns sacrificed in the opening? Daniil, always good for entertaining chess.
Yes, and let's hear more about Daniil from the man himself.
My name is Daniil Dubov, I'm 26, I'm Grandmaster from Russia, and I've spent about 20 years of my life playing chess. Both my father and grandfather were pretty decent chess players, so I think being a kid I saw them playing once and asked my father to teach me. I think he got tired of me, so he brought me to the chess club. And this is more or less how it started. People seem to think that my style is a very aggressive one, and to some extent I think it's true. So it really depends, but if you use three adjectives it would be brave, stupid, and maybe unique as well. My most memorable moments are not related to my best achievements. If I need to share one, let's say I won a brilliant game in European Team Championship against Rasmus Wane, and it helped Russian team to save the match, and then eventually we went on to win the tournament. Once again, I don't remember the day we won the tournament, but I remember the day I won a brilliant game. And I would say my main priority is living the life. And then secondly, I have chess where I'm a professional. I mean, I try to be good, I try to win all the tournaments I play, but still it's much more important to keep yourself entertained.
Living the life, a man who's entertained us plenty is his opponent, Vladimir Kramnik, the legend, 47 years old, the 14th world champion who defeated Garry Kasparov in the year 2000. Has some other accomplishments to his name. In the Manila 92 Olympiad, he wasn't even a grandmaster yet, but scored 8.5 points out of 9, if memory serves.
Yeah.
Let's hear more from Kramnik on Kramnik.
I'm Vladimir Kramnik, Grandmaster, former World Chess Champion, 47 years old, had a very long chess career, stopped professional chess since 2019. My father taught me chess when I was 5, then I fall in love with it, and here am I, a professional chess player. Nowadays I'm not playing professional chess, so nowadays I can say that chess is my passion and it's my hobby. As the former World Chess Champion, famous Robert James Fischer, have said once, there is a winning style and losing style. I'm more concentrating on the level of my chess than the style of it. Definitely the most memorable moment for me is my World Championship match against Garry Kasparov, the 13th World Chess Champion in London 2000. I managed to win it and to become the 14th World Champion. I think the most important skills to be on the very top of anything you do, and chess in particular, it's to strengthen your character day after day.
Yeah, Vladimir Kramnik, a true icon of the game, and we are just under a minute away from this huge match-up. Daniil Dubov against Vladimir Kramnik. I don't know who I think is going to win. I mean, both
so hard
players.
to say. Daniil, of course, the more active player nowadays, but don't be fooled if Kramnik is saying he no longer plays professional chess. He's still incredibly good. He doesn't play classical chess anymore with the 2 hours, but in rapid and blitz, even now, he has some tremendous results. So I don't know who to pick.
I don't know either. I think it's going to be all about the handling of the clock in this one. And Daniil Dubov, one of the most creative players around, he loves to sacrifice pawns and play very tricky, unconventional chess. And Kramnik, well, he will probably try to play as solidly as he can when he has the black pieces. And we are seconds away from the beginning. There you go, handshake. They are off. And okay, opening with e4. I was expecting
Sicilian.
Yeah, I was expecting
not
the
messing
queen's
around. No Berlin defense, no Petrov, none of the solid openings he's popularized. He's saying, let's have some fun, Daniil, and play the Najdorf. This is one of the sharpest lines there is. Kramnik really pushing his luck here. Let's see.
Kramnik is very different to the stereotype that we have about players as they get older, because we have this kind of thing that the older you get, the more you like to play old person chess, which is as solid as possible. Don't take any risks. And Kramnik says, no, I don't play chess as a profession anymore. I'm going to play chess for fun and play the sharpest, most exciting lines. And Dubov, well, he's given a pawn in his trademark style.
Sacrificed a pawn for some quick development. Very sharp position. Black has a lot of stuff going for him. He has the 2 bishops, the center, an extra pawn. But will he get checkmated?
And take a look at those heart rates. I mean, the players have just started the game.
Wow.
And we saw Daniil have a heart rate of over 140. Oof. Nerve-wracking stuff. And look at this. The kings have gone to the opposite side of the board. It is war on the board. Absolute pandemonium. He's moved forward with a g-pawn. All he wants to do is use that g-pawn as a battering ram and crack open a line. This is very unpleasant to face in a blitz situation.
The computer says black is much better, as you can see by the engine bar, but I am not sure if that converts into practice here. Daniil has a plan. He wants to push his rook pawn, then the g-pawn, and open the black king up, even if it's not fully sound.
Yeah.
It certainly looks dangerous.
Yeah, the computer can just disappear into the ether with its evaluations, because these are humans playing. And
pretty good humans.
Humans, they might be good, but there is the margin for a lot of error.
Kramnik attacks the pawn on f4 with his queen. And that's a bad sign for Dubov. He has to move his queen and defend. Now Kramnik could target that pawn again. Maybe the computer was onto something after all.
Maybe I should not doubt technology. And Kramnik actually making it look easy. I mean, now he's simply going to... I thought he was going to target the f-pawn, but instead he's just concentrating on easy developments and saying, hey, my king is under no danger whatsoever. And in fact, Daniil will be feeling the pressure along that c-line.
Yeah, he's mobilizing the pieces, saying, I have a bit of counterattack. Dubov had to spend one move securing his king, but now he's back to his attacking ways. And I'm still not sure what this is going to be, because the white attack can be very fast. Rook to the open file, the knight jumps. It's still anybody's guess, but I like what Kramnik did there. He exchanged that knight to close the file, so he will not get mated on the g-line.
And he brings his knight to the aid of his king. Again, I like this, also tying the queen down for the time being to the defense of the c2 pawn and preventing this bishop on f1 developing to the d3 square, where it would look upon the h7 square. That would be terrifying. Great stuff from Vladimir Kramnik, playing in a very classical way. And Dubov, well, his heart rate is increasing.
Yeah, he brings the knight, hoping to maybe sacrifice it on f6 to expose the black king. And to me it looked that Dubov actually has made some progress over the last couple moves, but the position is so sharp. It's very hard to give definite verdicts. Kramnik there, going for the double attack, But I'm sure Dubov is very happy with Kramnik taking that pawn on g5, opening the file in front of his own king.
He instead uses his queen to challenge its counterpart, and of course the
knight could not be taken, because then the queen would take the pawn, followed by checkmate. So Dubov had to restrain himself there.
Yeah, I have one golden rule in chess, which is when your king is under attack, trade off queens. So if I were Kramnik, I would be trying for those queens to come off the board as quickly as possible. And we see him move forward.
Is Dubov going to sacrifice the knight? Come on, Daniil, it's just a horsey. Knight f6 check.
Well, Vlad has just under a minute.
Yeah.
Not that much time. I don't know, do you want to initiate chaos? Do you want to burn those bridges? We'll find out.
Not yet, bring the bishop out first.
Yeah. I would actually just close that diagonal down and play e4, and Kramnik does that.
I really want to sacrifice that horsey. Come on, Daniil. Knight f6 check. He's calculating.
Yeah, but there are no attackers, and take a look at this, 163 on the heart rate.
That's his calculating heart rate. Nothing might work, but what else can he do? Retreat the bishop? That can't be it.
No, he has to go forward. But maybe he can bring a rook over, and then sacrifice the knight on f6.
Bishop will get taken.
That's true.
Bishop.
And we see the computer actually kind of like hovering between.
Can't make up his mind.
It was
Needs a while to calculate all this.
And now it's saying it's
there
equal.
We go,
and there
finally.
Go. Action has been initiated.
Kramnik doesn't dare taking the horsey, but that's a mistake, and he misses the knight fork. He had to take that, because that knight not only grabs the bishop, it also attacks the queen and the rook. So there was a bit of a blunder by Vladimir Kramnik, who's now going to be a rook down and should lose this game.
Yeah.
He's trying to fight back, but he's out of material here.
Huge blunder, and okay, and now attacking the knight. I mean, it looks like it's game over for the former world champion.
Yeah, pawn to b3, then rook to g1, and there should not be much hope. This is also not Armageddon yet, so they do get 2 extra seconds per move. So Daniil can take a moment here.
Definitely. But this will be the first time that we've seen white win a game.
Yeah.
In the Armageddon, Asia and Oceania. And okay, the queen is attacked, as you highlighted.
Yeah, and the rook comes.
Carry on attacking the queen. It's not, I mean, there's really nothing that he can do, because it's an open position. There aren't too many rooks on the board, and that all that matters is how great the rooks are. The king sidesteps to g8, rook comes up. Where can you go? You have to go queen f3.
To e2 to hit that rook, but he might get checkmated.
I think he's going to get checkmated. Rook takes knight.
This is it. Rook h8 is a big threat. You can try to stop it by moving your f-pawn.
Nope, handshake.
The white g-pawn steps forward.
And Dubov wins. He wins with the white pieces, and now Kramnik will be in a must-win situation.
Yeah, there was a strange game. It looked like Dubov was taking a lot of chances in the opening, as he tends to spice things up. But then at the key moment after this knight check by Dubov, Kramnik, without hesitation, put his king to the corner and frankly blundered the house, allowing Dubov to take the bishop and then the rook. There we see that moment. Knight f6 check, he has to take, good or bad. So he moves the king away, and boom. Knight takes the bishop, attacks the queen and the rook, and it's all over.
And Dubov's gamble pays off big time. Well, big players make big time moves, and there we see knight taking the rook, and there's just nothing to be done. There's no way that Kramnik could save that game.
Don't give a rook is a pretty good rule of thumb in chess middle games. Yeah, tough for Kramnik there, already great position. Now will have to regain his composure very, very quickly. But he is called Vlad normally.
He is called Big Vlad, and he also was the former world champion and highly experienced in these Armageddon formats. And here we can see the close of the game, where Kramnik actually regains some of his material, but that doesn't matter because there's just no way that he can prevent the checkmate arriving on the h8 square. Ooh, well, he has less than 50 seconds to get over that devastating blunder. He has the white pieces. He's now in a must-win situation if he wants to take the match to Armageddon. One of the things I have to say is that Dubov is a very creative player, and I don't think it's in his repertoire to play in a very solid fashion.
I think he can do that. Of course, he's very creative, but if you see him play in like the World Blitz Championships, World Rapid Championships, he's not above taking very pragmatic decisions, making a draw here and there to secure a good placement. He does know what the score is. And it's on Kramnik to try to mix it now.
And 11 seconds. The players
Still chatting?
are chatting. Well, enough of the chit-chat.
Warfare.
Get on. And press the clock, shake hands. That's it. They are off. And here we have first move E4, best by test according to Bobby Fischer. And, well, Jan, you're calling it. Dubov knows how to play solid chess when needed. And here he is.
This is his favorite system in the Italian opening, bishop to e7. He has studied this very deeply.
Absolutely. And there Kramnik makes a hiding place for his light squared bishop. Very important strategy. That bishop on c4 is a beautiful piece, and you've got to preserve it as much as possible. You don't want to trade it off for a knight.
You know, the pawn advances 2 squares. That's why Daniil is thinking here a3 is a slightly rare move, and he's trying to make up his mind. If he wants to bring the bishop out to e6 or g4, if he wants to go knight to the rim, then push the c-pawn, king to h8. So many options, but he brings the bishop out. That's what he usually does.
And Vlad just defends the bishop. And of course, Dubov simply makes those trades. He wants to simplify the position as much as possible. And now c3 is all about whether Kramnik can get d4 at a time when Dubov is not ready for such an advance.
Yeah, I don't think it's in the cards just yet. Kramnik first develops the bishop, Dubov welcoming more exchanges. He's trying to play very, very solidly,
and
just a draw.
Kramnik actually making those trades. I'm surprised. I always feel in these situations that the more minor piece trades that happen, the easier it is for the side with less space to play. But Kramnik obviously has a plan. He's probably going to reroute the knight to e3, where it can jump into f5. Oh no, he's going for the original plan, which is to take space in the center with d4.
Yeah, I think black is very, very stable here. Daniil can be happy with the position. He's been a little slow, maybe. Kramnik really not taking any time at all so far. But the black line of defense looks very, very solid. Here comes the queen.
Targeting the b7 pawn. You have to defend it.
Probably will, yeah.
And I probably would move my b pawn 1 square forward.
Yeah, I'm not sure, because that weakens the knight on c6 a little bit, but it's a tough decision if you move it forward or if you use the rook to protect it. And Daniil agrees with you, pushes the pawn.
Yeah. Again, I also, after I suggested it, I started to doubt myself, because I saw the queen stepping forward 2 squares, attacking it, and I was like, oh, it's not easy defense. And Kramnik starts moving in the chair. I feel like
rook to the middle, Vladdy.
He's about
rook
to
the
pounce. I don't know, I think he's going to play queen up 2 squares. Where's he reaching for?
Queen back, oh.
No. Oh, surprising. That was not in my arsenal at all. And okay, heart rates. Vlad actually down to 125. It's actually one of the lower numbers that we've seen from him.
Yeah, it is a boring position.
126. But Vladimir Kramnik in a must-win situation. He has to maintain the tension.
With the big thing here, maybe he's wondering if he should push that pawn on the side of the board, try to fix the structure. It's not obvious how to improve. All his pieces are on good squares, but what can he do next?
Well, is Dubov actually threatening pawn takes pawn and grabbing material?
I strongly doubt it.
I also strongly doubt it, but it has to be considered. Okay, rook comes to the middle. Lovely little move from Kramnik, just making space for his king. I like it
Two
because
can play that game.
both players are saying, got all the time in the world. And they
1
don't.
minute, 4 seconds.
Rook coming to the middle. Your wish has been granted, Jan.
Finally.
And Dubov playing a very unusual move, stepping forward with the G-pawn, perhaps getting ready
I like
to
it.
match
He's
the king.
anticipating this knight move, which was now played, and he's trying to cover that square on f5. Kasparov, the man who was defeated by Kramnik, once said, knight on f5 is worth a pawn. Dubov likes being a pawn down, but not in this case. So he's trying to be as safe as possible. Kramnik is hinting at knight to d5, but Daniil decides it's not a big deal.
Yeah, and stepping forward.
Might
with
be
the
a
king.
big deal, though. Why is it not a big deal, knight d5?
It looks good, if you ask me.
You might lose a pawn, and where do you go? Yeah, there it
Who's gonna
comes.
come in?
Oh, this was missed.
And you have to take
This
it.
is trouble.
If you don't take it, then you're simply gonna have to play with your king out there on f6, and no one wants to do that. Dubov, you can't think. The decision has been made for you.
Just be a
You've got
pawn
to
down.
take.
He has to try this. Yeah, he has to try.
Oh, so he's allowing white to play knight takes knight and playing with the king on
chance.
f6.
The king can move back.
And Daniil Dubov, less than 20 seconds on the clock. You have to remember, the players are just getting a 2-second increment after every move.
But it doesn't look like Kramnik has seen a way to break through. He could exchange knights, but how do you keep the king out there in the open? So he's looking for a move here. Maybe target that pawn. b2, very subtle.
Very sophisticated chess. And no time for Dubov.
Daniil, you have
to...
8 seconds.
Okay, he moves his knight away.
Wow.
Do you see the calmness with which he made that move? Just 8 seconds left on the clock. Okay, now Kramnik making his move, challenging the b pawn. The king steps back.
He's just retreating all his pieces, but white takes.
And he
What
captures
is he doing?
on
This looks
d4.
terrible. Queen takes. Yeah, Daniil is in big trouble here.
Well, he can move his rook, and okay, the c7 pawn is being targeted.
To c6, then the other rook comes. This looks lost. The white knight on d5 is dominating. Kramnik is already a pawn up.
Oh,
If he can keep his composure here, he should win this game. He decides to simplify, still keeping a big advantage.
well, now the rook can swoop down to c6, targeting the d6 pawn, but instead he centralizes the knight. It's often said that when you have a knight in the center on d5, you can basically do anything, even fall asleep.
Ah, that's a good rule. Take a little nap. Gonna
Queen
exchange
takes queen.
queens, then push.
Okay, b6.
It's still dominant.
Beautiful
C7.
position for Kramnik. I mean, we could see Kramnik take this to Armageddon.
It's gonna happen.
5 seconds for Dubov.
As the saying in chess, Kramnik's passed pawn's always queen. He does have a passed pawn. Not sure about rook c6. That looked a little slow, but his advantage is so big.
He can double
He
his
shouldn't
rooks.
spoil it.
Okay, rook is perhaps coming to a7.
Yeah. Do it now.
Looks good. Don't
Takes a
hesitate.
check. No, he's calculating. That's why he moves his king out of the way first. He wants to go rook a7, but he doesn't want to be bothered.
And okay, this is an interesting dilemma for Kramnik. Does he
Still rook
trade
a7.
off knights,
Still rook a7.
or does he go rook a7? Okay, now he can.
Now he exchanges rooks, then he takes the pawn, and Daniil lost on time. He's claiming his own flag there to escape this horrible position.
Kramnik
Which means
wins
we have Armageddon, 1-1.
for the second time today. Today was our lucky day, Jan.
Finally.
And wow, what amazing play from the former world champion. The scores are even, and we're gonna see our favorite, Armageddon.
Yeah, I watched that Bruce Willis movie called Armageddon last night because I missed it so much. But today we get 2 of these. Let's have a look at the highlights of this game. This is already the stage where it is more or less decided. Kramnik dominating here with the knight on d5, pushing his b-pawn.
Yeah, and here we can see the trade, and there you go, b6. That passed pawn has been solidified. It was just complete advantage for Kramnik.
Yeah, I guess we'll see one more clip of the final stages. Rook to a7, and watch Dubov's clock. His situation is hopeless as well. He takes, but he does it too slowly, and he claims his own defeat there. Kramnik would have just have taken the knight and then went on to win.
Yes.
Rook endgame.
And we are 50 seconds away from Armageddon. And White will have 5 minutes and is in a must-win situation. Black will have 4 minutes and has draw odds. There will be no increment whatsoever. What you see on the clock is what you get. And who do you think has the psychological advantage, Kramnik or Dubov?
I think Kramnik has a psychological advantage because he just came back, won the second game. But Dubov might have the speed advantage in the end, although it didn't look like it when he lost on time there, but his situation was so desperate. I'm a bit curious. I heard both players had very specific questions about the rules of the Armageddon, what happens when someone doesn't move cleanly, how do you call the arbiter and so on. So, of course, we hope for a clean game. But some pieces flying would be fun too. Let's go.
And okay, opening with the king's pawn, and we are going to see a repeat. Bishop comes out to c4.
Well, this time Kramnik goes for e5, since he only needs to draw. He's playing more solidly, doesn't play the Sicilian.
Bishop
Daniil has prepared. Tricky little sideline here with knight bd2. This is still theory. Black can now capture the pawn on e4. That's slightly dangerous, or he can push the pawn to d5. Vladdy, if you have any questions, call me.
I would simply push that pawn and then develop my pieces and get the king to safety. The king is on an open line. That's uncomfortable business, but instead we see the bishop trade itself.
Yes, still theory.
Very good.
Takes, followed by short castles.
Jan here is your man for these type of openings. You've done many courses on this. You are the guru.
Yeah, Daniil is the guru on any opening, but he'll be a bit disappointed that Kramnik knew about this. Kramnik, of course, has always been one of the hardest workers in chess business. Impossible to surprise this man. And now Daniil's taking his time because he needs to win. He needs to create some tension.
Yep. And talking about tension, take a look at the heart rate, moving all the way up to 150 for Dubov. And Kramnik taking some precautionary measures to defend his king, stepping forward with the h-pawn. And I like the way that Dubov just casually just moves that rook to e1, taking control of the e-line. The queen will probably come out to b3 or c2. You've got to connect the rooks.
Yeah, not easy for White. He has to put some pressure on Black's position before Black stabilizes. If Black gets the piece to the middle, then because of the isolated pawn that White has, Black will be very, very comfortable. Dubov might look cool, calm, and collected, but his heart rate is saying he's a little excited.
Yeah, saying otherwise, right? The stats don't lie over there. And I somehow suspect that Dubov will take it in a very calm way. You know, he'll maybe push the pawn, h-pawn one square forward. Nope. Okay, he instead goes for a completely different plan. Just asking Black, how are you going to defend the c6 knight?
I don't think you have to defend it. Just move the other knight away, knight b6 or knight f6.
But will the hand resist the temptation to move that knight to e7?
Yeah.
Yes. He steps back.
Moves the knight, but covers the other guy. Very solid play by Kramnik, vacating that square for the bishop. I like how this is going for Kramnik, catching up a little on the clock. I think his position is very solid, very easy to play. So I think he's on a good track here. Dubov still needs to make something happen.
Well, he's doing some good things. He's moving his bishop to attack the c7 pawn, just tying the queen down to its defense. I like this. And moves that I would be considering is just, okay, now the bishop is under attack, has to move. But the kind of move that I would play if I were White would be go h3 and also retreat the bishop to d3 and start eyeing the king, because I just love to attack. And there we see the players. The heart rates are kind of stabilizing, both around 135. I just love the way they move. And there we see Kramnik. Well, look at his light square bishop.
Managed to generate some tension. Now Kramnik has to decide if he wants to change the structure or not. And after this change White has what we call the pawn majority on the king side, 4 versus 3. I still think black is fine, but there's some potential for white push of his f-pawn, generating some chances there. Kramnik starts to fight against it.
Yeah.
His queen.
And that's, like you say, why this queen comes out to g5. And regarding the clock times, of course, Kramnik started with 1 minute less on his clock, and he has 2 minutes and 17 seconds. Well, Dubov
has
has
strong move
2 minutes and 35. I like it. Stopping f4 and also stopping any naughty.
He's going for the attack himself, threatening knight to f4, also pawn to h5, pawn to h4, because the queen is eyeing that pawn in front of the white king. So Dubov has to exchange that powerful bishop now, but that allows Kramnik to finish, mobilizing, bring the rook there. And yeah, I think he's solved all his problems here. Once these bishops get exchanged, black should be perfectly fine.
Black should be perfect. Will it be perfect? We'll find out. And Kramnik thinking just under 1 minute and 50 seconds. Rook takes, Dubov being ever so cool. f4 looks like a serious threat now.
Yeah, I don't think it can be stopped, but I'm not sure how much damage it does. But Kramnik is going for activity, hits the rook on e1 with his queen. Doesn't want to wait around.
Time to double up the rooks on the e line. You know, the rooks can actually create some damage. For instance, e5, e6 is something that black needs to be thinking about. Other moves could be actually pushing the h-pawn and destabilizing the knight on g6. Queen centralizes.
This is a trap. He's hoping for Dubov to take the pawn on b7. Then he wants to take the rook, and if the rook recaptures, it's a checkmate on the back rank. And he sees through that, but the theme keeps coming. Now, there's a pawn. There's a pawn on a2. Do you want the pawn?
No. That's an irrelevant pawn. It's, you know, it's doing nothing. Time to solidify the position. Bear in mind, Kramnik just needs a draw. He just needs to hold on tight, and here comes h2, h4. When in doubt, just push that pawn. And Kramnik saying, you're going to work on the wings, I'm going to work on the center. And Kramnik relocating the knight to e7.
Yeah, still unclear how white plans to build his attack. Well, the black position is not tough to play. The other rook can join the action. The c-pawn can be pushed. I guess objectively it should be roughly equal. But of course we shouldn't forget about the clock. 1 minute for Kramnik, 1:20 for Dubov. They have to move, because if you run out of time, you lose.
And there you see the bishop asking black, hey, do you want to trade? And Kramnik saying, no, I like this move, knight to f5. It's a beautiful square. Queen stepping forward. If I were Kramnik, I would actually not capture that bishop on h4. It's not doing that much. Okay, commentator's curse, it's off. And Kramnik instead going for play along the d-line. Under 50 seconds. He doesn't get any extra time added on the clock. And there comes those queenside pawns. They're moving forward. Dubov has to win. He has to generate a kingside attack.
Yeah, it will come down to speed in the end. Kramnik is perfectly fine here with his control of the center. I don't see any attack coming. But will he be quick enough?
Well, he has how many seconds? 40 seconds. That's not much. He has to speed up. He has to play as many moves as he possibly can. Don't think about it too much.
He has been flagged in the past and he wasn't very happy about it. But I think the rule of thumb that he himself established is you're only allowed to flag him if he's not twice your age. And I've done the math. Dubov is 26, Kramnik is 47. So he's not quite twice Dubov's age. So it should be fine.
Well, both players now under 30 seconds.
He's actually playing more slowly. He has to speed up a little.
He definitely does. 20
Kramnik
seconds. Maybe Kramnik will flag Dubov.
Yeah, he keeps thinking. Daniil.
Speed up. Okay, now big
checkmate.
threat. Checkmate. Queen takes g2 is huge threat. And pawn dropping.
What is this? Combination, tactics.
Beautiful.
Vladimir Kramnik with the finish. Is this the finish? Queen e4 check?
Okay, now the queen can come
There's
down.
no checkmate. Queen e1, rook g1. And pieces should start flying. Kramnik is okay with the draw. He can give a perpetual. Dubov trying to run out of it.
And 5 seconds for Dubov.
4 versus 4.
What is going to happen? Oh!
1 second each, 1 second each. And Dubov loses on time. The pieces did fly. Dubov not happy with the outcome there. Let's see if we'll see a protest.
Ooh, let me catch my breath there, Jan. That was insane. And we have to say what will happen now is the arbiter will review the footage of the last minute of the game, and if any infringements were made, then she will maybe even change the results.
What a drama. Kramnik looked completely winning, had a bad position, and 22 seconds versus 13. But then he started looking for a checkmate, and he started burning his time, trying to find that checkmate. And then 1 second each.
And here...
We don't want that. Give us the final 10 seconds. Yeah, boring position, blah, blah, blah. Black is fine.
Black is more than fine here. And we see Dubov there, you know, wow, what a game. And here we see the closing.
Here we are,
minutes
22 seconds versus 12.
I mean, this should be
Kramnik going for the
Look
rook
at
sacrifice.
This beautiful move.
But now he missed that the queen can step into the way, queen g1, so it wasn't so easy to checkmate, and all hell broke loose. There he is.
And there we see Kramnik being saved by this repetition of checks. And just watch as the clocks tick down, both seconds matching each other, second for second. Oh.
Let's see where the pieces start flying. 1 second each. And Dubov taking the rook with a... Yeah, that was...
That was a bit...
He was trying to go the other way. I don't think his appeal will be successful here. So I don't know if he did an appeal, but it looks like Vladimir Kramnik is our winner.
Yeah, and winning with a comeback win, and also winning in the Armageddon by 1 second to spare. Whew. And okay, let's have a look at the highlights.
Are there more highlights? That was already too nerve-wracking.
Have you ever seen something like that? And let's check out some small highlights. And time to mention one of our partners, Kaspersky. As a technology and digital privacy company, Kaspersky supports the secure advancement of chess in the digital space and its expansion into online tournaments. A perfect combination of human excellence and strong technology.
We're almost at the end of today's show with these two Armageddon. I think that's the plural. We have to look what happens tomorrow, because tomorrow I think it's the lower bracket. Let's not call it the losers bracket, because these guys, they are not losers at all. What do we have?
Well, we have Elimination Day as we say goodbye to some of our players. Vidit will face off against Yangyi, whereas Karthikeyan will also meet Daniil Dubov, who is the highest rated player in this tournament. That is going to be absolutely insane. And well, that was an exciting day of events, but we'll take a breather and we will see you tomorrow, same time, same place.